Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Amish Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKinnon, Retro Bill, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive, huge thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Say again, Jardo?
I said right.
Indeedy. That's a good start.
Thanks.
I've ordered a couple of new microphones, and by new I mean 20 years old.
What's the brand?
One is Violet Designs, a company that later got bought out or ran by Jay-Z. So before it was Jay-Z microphones, it was Violet Design microphones. So I bought one of those, and I've bought a M Audio Luna. Won't mean anything to you. What matters is what it is. So the one mic is a pencil condenser, small diaphragm condenser microphone, which is what I'll probably end up using as a boom mic because it's a little bit shorter. I say a little bit shorter. I've been looking at the pencil condenser so that I don't have to use my shotgun mic. So I eventually settled on one that looked really pretty, as you do. And it's not actually that much shorter. So when I went and dug out the measurements, I'm like, oh, it's only 5 centimetres shorter than the one I've got now. I'm like, that's not so good. So we'll see. I'll have a fiddle when that comes, hopefully come this week from eBay. But the other one, again, I probably won't end up using it, but what it is represents a very good microphone. You can be hypercritical about what mics are, but there's not a great deal that actually affects how they perform. And one of the things is the circuit design. The other thing is the diaphragm. The body doesn't make hardly any difference at all, if any. But I've bought a 34mm capsule. I think it's 27mm diaphragm. What would be referred to as a 1.1 inch capsule, I think they call it, or diaphragm. Yeah, diaphragm. Anyway, that's attached to a transformer balanced output. I like the way that transformer balanced output microphones sound. They seem to clamp down on transients. I like that. I don't know why they do that, but they do that, and I like it. So I've bought a transformer balanced output, large diaphragm condenser microphone, and a small diaphragm condenser microphone, otherwise known as a pencil condenser. I'm hoping one of them will be better than what I've got now, which is an outdoor shotgun mic.
What are their frequency ranges?
The pencil condenser's pretty much flat from 20. I think it starts at about 6 dB down at 20 hertz, and then by 100 it's completely flat, and it stays that way till about 8K. Then it's got a tiny little presence boost from about 8K, and it drops down to flat again at about 16K. So it's like a Neumann, I guess, like your typical Neumann circuit. So the pencil condenser is quite boring. The large diaphragm condenser, on the other hand, has just got your typical 1950s, 1960s frequency response, because it's just based on that type of design. Again, it's probably just based on a Neumann design. It's not actually. It's actually based on a guy, an American guy, who came up with a line of mics that all use the same capsule, that ranged in price from, I don't know, $250 all the way up to a couple of $1,000. They all use the same capsule. It's just the circuit design that changed. The cheapest one was just a transformerless, and then middle of the price range was the one that I've got. Same circuit design, transformer balanced, and then at the top of the range they had a valve output. So that mic then went on to be bought by a different company, and M Audio mass marketed the same thing under a different badge in a different body, but the same exact circuit and the same exact capsule, which is all that matters in terms of how it sounds. So there you go.
Are you finding that with some mics, their response to recording is different than as purely amplified?
Yeah, they all react slightly differently in the room, don't they? But it's always down to capsule. What's the difference in the capsule? Because that's really all that matters. But I'm relearning this stuff, because last time I looked at this stuff was when I was in college, and I'm refamiliarizing myself with what all this stuff does. And because of YouTube, I've very quickly, in the space of a couple of months, refamiliarized myself with everything that I learned and more, because of, it's just really easy to access the information if you know what you're looking for. So after maybe a month, you get down to the nitty gritty of what's actually going to make some sort of difference that you would notice, and be able to identify what that difference actually is. You know what I mean? So I'm at that stage now, and it's like, okay, well, I just need to have a fiddle with a few different types of mics then. So instead of going out and buying what I think I need, which is about 600 quid, which is way, way too expensive, I've gone to eBay and gone, right, let's try a couple of different things that are the thing that I would want to try, but for obviously a lot cheaper second hand than you'd have to spend buying this stuff new. So that's what I've done.
Is there a reason why you put the link in Ballbusters instead of Master B?
No, probably just because that's where I was last. Thank you for telling me, though. I'll put it in Master B. Done.
You could just take an electronics course and build your own.
I did. Got a City and Guilds in electronic servicing. My problem isn't that I can't do it, it's that I'm colourblind, so I tend to break things. I've got some good stories. From back when I worked in a hi-fi shop, and I attempted to work a couple of times on amplifiers, but then you only got to get it wrong once and blow something up, and people don't tend to want you to work on that stuff anymore. I thought it looked like it was red. No, it's brown. Well, they all kind of look brown.
You've got Google, you've got AI to do that for you now. Just take a picture and ask it to tell you which colour is which.
Yeah, you're probably right. I've just learned my lesson. I know where my limits are. God didn't bless me with being able to identify the correct colour of wire. So I accepted it a long time ago. It's one of them. It's frustrating because it's something that I literally studied in college, and I did all right. And the reason I did all right was because modern wiring is really easy to identify because they've just coloured it in such a way that serves people who have got weird eyes. So it's easy. But then as soon as you go to something that's not brand spanking new, then you run into problems almost immediately. So with almost everything now, I just say, I'll find somebody else who's more capable and ask them to do it. And when it comes to things that are broken, Craig will fix them. Craig, the guy that click OK. Wonderful, because it means I don't have to trust that I will endeavour to try and fix it and probably make it worse. I can actually take it to him, and 9 times out of 10 he can make something work. There are exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, Craig's exceptionally handy.
I had an apprentice, well, going back about 10 years ago now, and like I did with all my apprentices, I give them a little induction test, mathematics, basic physics, and electrical. And this particular young fella blitzed everything. I'm like, oh, this guy's good. So we took him off to work, and he was doing pretty well in the basic tasks. And then we got him to start wiring some in-ground lights, and he kept asking every day over and over again, what colour goes with what? What colour goes with what? Because flexible wiring colours are different to fixed permanent colour wiring. And I was thinking to myself, why do you keep asking? Why does he keep asking? And then I said to him, can you show me which colour's which? And then that's when I realised the poor kid was colourblind.
Yep, that's exactly my story. Exactly the same. With amplifiers that went bang instead of what colour do these ground light wires go in which hole. And if you can't tell the difference, then you can't tell the difference.
Feel like going over the Coriolis effect?
No.
I dropped a video in there. That's what's sad. The whole world still thinks Coriolis is something else.
Holt what? Hanley?
That's the video.
Some random numpty. Okay, we'll cover it. I don't like Coriolis. Hey ho.
You can't play the other one because it's a little snippet from Gilligan's Island I caught this morning. But the professor goes over the perfect Coriolis effect that could get them off the island.
Illusions that can get them off islands, huh?
Exactly what I was thinking.
I do need to get coffee. I do actually have a cup of coffee sat next to me, but the beans have run out. At some point, I'll toddle off.
You don't do instant coffee, no?
No.
Is instant coffee like methadone for you?
And no, I just don't drink it. I wouldn't have it.
They should never have created instant coffee. What is that?
Percolator coffee that they've extracted all the water from. Well, not percolator, French press, rather. It's just French press coffee.
Or Sanka. The hell is Sanka?
I don't know.
Caffeine-free coffee. What's the purpose?
I don't know. Some people buy alcohol-free beer, Neil, so, my dad used to drink it.
Really?
Yeah, Tennant's Pilsner or something. It had no alcohol-free. And, yeah.
That's as bad as vegans with freaking beefless hamburgers.
Yeah, it's like making a Big Mac and not putting the actual beef in it. I mean, the main purpose of the coffee is to get the caffeine out of it, isn't it? You know, that's the point.
Oh, what are you drinking it for? Just the taste? That's what gets you going in the morning. My last sip I dropped today bounced off the floor and just covered my whole freaking body. And it was only a little sip.
Bummer. They're making me want to go out immediately to go and get coffee beans. I just know if I lose track of time, I'll have to start the live show, and then there's absolutely no chance I'll get coffee.
Wait a second. So you're doing this show caffeine free? Oh boy.
No. There's a cup of coffee next to me, but it's just the machine's run out of beans. I won't be able to have more coffee.
As long as you have a cup, that'll get you through. When you end the show, then you can go get more coffee beans.
That's not
How
enough.
many do you usually have during the show?
4. Something like that.
Holy shoot. The most I have is 2 a day. Any more? I'm wired.
I'm generally pretty chill. Need the coffee to perk me up.
Yeah, one coffee, but 4, that's getting towards AA.
Oh yeah, I'm hopelessly addicted to coffee. I love it. Caffeine is great. Very useful.
Now you start from the beginning. You get the beans, right? And then you grind them up. And then you make a nice fresh cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But your coffee is espresso, really, correct?
Well, yeah. It's any coffee that comes out of the machine I use is espresso to begin with, but it's just whatever you turn it into afterwards. I drink cappuccinos.
Right. So you drink the fancy stuff, the cappuccino that makes a nice head, right? Do
Yeah.
you pop a little cinnamon in it or no?
No, I put hot chocolate on the top.
Oh, so you're into mochas. Okay.
No. Just sprinkle of hot chocolate on top of the foam of the milk.
Oh, I got you. Just a sprinkle of the hot. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all connected to Discord. I just need to do dog things. We've got a dog. We're dog sitting.
He's got a dog and he needs to set it.
Oh, I was hoping someone would tell us what Coriolis is and how a force affects these rotating frames of reference. Please. You know, like, have you ever heard of a Coriolis meter? No.
Coriolis meter.
Yes, that's what they call it. But what it actually does is it detects the fluid. What'd you call that? Pressure differentials in fluid as uh, the system is moved from one place to another. Nothing to do with Coriolis.
About time. How are you?
I would like to no longer go
Hello.
by Reflected Curvature. That is my slave name. I am now Reflected Ping Pong Golf Ball.
You're refracted curvature again, are you? Once again, I should say.
I do not answer to that name.
Okay, so just refracted it is then.
Yeah, that works.
Very good.
Good
Everyone
morning,
have a
guys.
good weekend. Everyone in Discord happy?
Mic check, mic check.
Hey, Chocolate. You sound a lot better than you did the last 2 or 3 times you've been here.
That's kind of what I was hoping. Do I sound better?
Yeah, you do.
You sound much better, Chocolate.
What is your secret, Chocolate?
I bought the right type of $10 mic.
Not the wrong type of
the one I
$10 mic.
used, the one I used to use when I was on the show a while ago.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
have to
It's
go
much
find
better.
that one again.
Definitely, we can hear what you're saying, which is ideal. Did anyone catch QE's T-Jump episode from yesterday?
Yeah, I was there.
Okay, I've made 3 attempts to listen to it and haven't actually got to listen to it yet. So, 3 attempts. Something else has distracted me on every single occasion. So, is it good?
Yeah, QE was in his rare form when he was doing a onesie.
Or is it just him on his own?
Yes.
So he did 4 straight hours on his own. Well, isn't that
No,
something?
T-Jump was helping him. T-Jump was helping him. Come on.
I mean, no doubt. I thought about it as soon as I opened my mouth, saying it's not like he's just whittering to camera or whittering to a mic in his instance for 4 straight hours. He's got a video. He's playing a little bit of it and then bouncing off it. So yeah, I can kind of understand that he could easily do 4 hours responding to stuff.
Yeah, he did a treatment all by his onesie.
I'm looking forward to watching it, but there's no classes, so typically there's a break for most kids, but for my kids there isn't because they're homeschooled. However, they do actually have quite a number of classes, and for whatever reason, the homeschool classes have decided to take the same cues from holidays that normal school kids have, and I'm like, why? Why are you having these holidays? Kind of one of those things that you're not expecting to have a few spare hours of your time, but I'm definitely going to get enough time this week to watch QE's live stream from yesterday. So I can't wait. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. I haven't, so I can only assume it's a typical treatment and it's just as worthy as the next QE video to recommend. Right, Neil?
Well, let's put it this way: it beats Saturday, that's for sure.
Beat Saturday?
Well,
Go on, John. Or Neil, one of you.
Well, I was just saying it beats Saturday's ball busters, that's for sure. That was painful.
Yes, because they... was it Craig? I can't quite remember who we were covering.
Yeah, it was Craig, the woman beater.
But it
The
doesn't have
6'1"
anything...
guy.
old lady, not just women, old lady specifically.
Yeah, he just didn't have anything valuable to respond to, did he? It was all just childish nonsense.
Yeah, that's why we're responding with childish nonsense, probably. The T-Jump episode, though, if you listen to Witsit debate Nathan, I would have a puke bucket next to you if you're going to watch that video.
You're saying if you watched Witsit and I discussing his performance in Antarctica, it would be detrimental to your mental well-being to watch T-Jump and Witsit? Was it T-Jump and Witsit, I assume?
No, if you watch the debate he had with you like 2 years ago when all that stuff kicked off with Jaron calling you a scammer and all that.
Uh-huh.
If you're in the know about that, the T-Jump thing will make you sick.
Oh, really? Okay, and now I'm even more intrigued to watch. Okay. I did kind of ponder why QE was covering it, because it's not exactly the most recent of videos, is it?
Well, the reason is every argument that Witsit tried to use on you, he was T-jumped with.
I see. That's interesting. I see. Oh, refractive curvature left the core. So at least he got to the end of that sentence. Well, check it out. Quantum Eraser YouTube channel is the origin of this video discussion that we're having, and the video is called You've Been T-Jumped. As I say, I only know the title because I clicked it at least 3 times to try and watch it, but didn't manage it. Scrubbed through to the beginning of it and something else distracted me. Specifically a little sausage dog. I can't hold it anymore. Got a little dog that's running around at the moment. One of our neighbours is in and out of hospital, so we occasionally look after a dog for her, and it's really cute.
Kids must love that.
Oh, hell yeah. Running around after it screaming. They're having the time of their lives. Of course, they still get bored of it after an hour. For anybody thinking of getting their kid a pet, no. Find a friend who's got a pet and let them lend it you for a small period of time.
You sound like Sebastian Maniscalco. That's what he said when he was a kid. That's what his father told him. You want a pet? Go pet the neighbor's pet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when you get a puppy, you are getting a toddler for a minimum 10 years.
Minimum, yeah, absolute minimum, unless it gets run over. So yeah, you're committed to that dog for the next 10 years of its life and your life, and no, because the kids are going to be bored of it an hour after they get it.
And they're never going to walk the dog like they say they're going to. I'll walk the dog. I'll take care of the dog. No, 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 no. It always falls on Papa.
Yep. Well, in this instance, I've done the sensible thing and borrowed a dog temporarily.
That's the way to go.
Yep, certainly is. If only the same thing was available from cats. But cats just sort of roam around of their own volition, don't they? You can just go and fuss one randomly.
Yeah, that is totally different. They need no attention. They are fine on their own.
Indeed, they are. I should really do some housekeeping questions, Neil. You made me in the pre-show saying, is it related to Coriolis? Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Refracted?
Yes.
I don't think he heard the question, Neil.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, if there was, you could only describe it from the plane of reference. I don't know what good that would do.
It did quite well at proving a flat plane if you're going to infer one by suggesting that there's a non-inertial turning frame of reference. What question haven't we had in a while, Neil? Housekeeping question.
I'm thinking. What about the gravity one?
Well, we discussed gravity quite extensively on the Friday show, which was quite a good show. I listened back to it myself. Not that I often don't review my own shows, but, actually listen to the entirety of Friday's show. So there's a couple of hour live stream. You don't have to be a member to hear the majority of Friday's show. And we jumped here, there and everywhere for some reason. I don't know why. I was just in a good mood, so reasonably compliant. When people suggested I did things, I actually did them there and then. Like go to politics and then immediately go to Earth Awakenings.
I know one we haven't asked in a while. Any evidence of a 24-hour sun in Antarctica?
Not a housekeeping question.
Oh, gee, that's right. It never was.
No, it never was.
What does the 24-hour sun in Antarctica prove?
It doesn't.
It doesn't prove?
No.
Well,
I mean,
yep.
I could probably rack my brains for something that's new that I could suggest it proved, but to date, let's rephrase that. In recent times, nobody's taken the assertion of a 24-hour sun in Antarctica and turned it into an alleged proof. Even Craig McNeil, when we were assessing his assessment of me and Whitsit on Saturday, even he was suggesting that no one was out there claiming it would prove a ball.
Well, I have a logical syllogism I'd like to put forward.
Feel free.
Since the elevation angle of the sun stays above the plane of reference for 24 hours in Antarctica, we can know that the Earth is a plane in Antarctica.
Yeah, I mean, you can't infer that you know Earth's a plane from that beyond the utilization of it as a plane. Earth is measured as a plane in Antarctica. That's the only slight addition I'd put. In other words, yeah, Earth's measured flat in Antarctica. Why? Well, because they're measuring it flat. When they measure the elevation of the sun with respect to that plane that they're describing it from, the angles that they provide us are those measurements of a flat plane.
So wait, if it didn't prove anything, and they knew it wasn't going to prove anything, then why did everybody go? And why was it called the final experiment?
So I heard someone went to sabotage it.
Yeah, but sabotage what? That's Neil's question. What are they doing? If it's not final and it's not an experiment and it's not suggesting to offer proof of a globe, and the only purpose is for Will Duffy to get a few flirts to say the azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection fails as a result of our journey, you're like, okay. Is that it? Is that all they really wanted? The AE map to be bunk? Okay. I mean, some people are really desperate to debunk globe projections.
But it gives the appearance that it's about appearance. It's not about like what is true. They're giving the appearance that there's an argument that this is settling, and then they give out the straw man false dichotomy and use the affirming the consequent to push it home when they say, if Earth's a flat plane, we will not observe a 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
Yeah, but nobody formulated that fallacious reasoning. We pointed out that the only way you'd achieve a suggested proof C was to affirm the consequent, and then we formulated it on their behalf to show how wrong it was. So because we did that from day one, none of them were brave enough to actually swallow the brave pills and say, yeah, if Earth's a sphere, then we'll see 24-hour sun. 24-hour sun, therefore, Earth's a sphere. Nobody did that. So Craig saying, oh, no one's saying it's proof of a sphere is appropriate. No, they're not. Because we took away that thunder. Because we were saying it. We were just pointing out the fallacious reasoning when we said it. But they would have done had we have not done that. I mean, no doubt.
Well, they're trying to imply that they directly tested whether Earth was a plane of reference by traveling there, using a plane of reference and measuring a plane of reference. They're saying that they've debunked Earth is a plane of reference.
No, they're not. They're saying they've debunked the azimuthal equidistant North Pole centric globe projection. Now, they bundle that in as though that is the flat Earth. So you might suggest that they're inferring that. You might suggest that they are inferring that. But they're not saying it. And matter of fact, they're debunking the AE projection. That's all they're doing.
Right, but they're holding it up after they discuss us, say flat earthers. Then they hold this up, debunk it, and the audience will associate in their mind that that's what flat earthers believe the Earth is, and that's debunked.
But by doing what? By finally providing evidence for something that should have been evidenced, we were told was evidenced, millennia ago. So in 2024, they finally, and I'm exaggerating that word because that was used in the name of it, the final experiment.
Yeah, it's like
so we
Friday the 13th, part 274. This time, it's final.
Yeah, this time it's final. For the first time, the final time.
Well, listen, it was affirmed for Nick, and that's good enough.
Oh, did we lose Nick?
Well,
It was ambiguous. Is it really so? Oh.
Yeah, we lost Nick.
I think the idea that they were trying to get across is that they're tired of doing this. They're going to prove it one last time with this observation. Is what I think it's meant to come across as.
Yeah, wishful thinking. Look, right, we'll do this, and that's it, okay? Right, then you guys will shut your channel, okay?
Yes, that is ideal.
Oh, what a shame. We're still here telling him how their flat Earth measurements that they took in Antarctica are quite useful to prove Earth's measured flat. That must be really irritating after spending several $100,000 to go to Antarctica. Not to go down to Antarctica, because that would be antipodal assumption, wouldn't it?
It would, if you're talking about the celestial sphere model and you understand that it's utilized as a plane of reference, it wouldn't necessarily be a reification for you to say down, because you're talking about the underside of that model. So, but you'd have to understand it's from a plane of reference. Otherwise, yes.
In other words, if I say down in reference to the celestial sphere, I'm not physically reifying that notion mathematically from the conceptual to the physical. But if they say down, it absolutely, without question, is the reification of said model projected in PZX format for them to believe they're standing on it. So they can't say down. It's automatic assumption of antipodal positioning for them, not me. The antipodal positioning that I might infer is, matter of fact, non-physical.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Globers cannot say down.
No.
We can say down.
We can say down, exactly. They can't say down. You'll need a flat Earth for that. Bible U from the chat says Nick who. So it's a bit of an in-joke, which is poor form. I normally tell people off for doing that. Bible U. It was a claim of Will Duffy that a fellow... Yeah, I'll just explain it. So Will Duffy was asked if there'd been a change in the... I was about to say religious belief, but the belief of Jaron Whitsitt or whoever the third guy was. And of the... I think it was 4 of them that were flatties that went down there. He said that 2 might change their mind. However, one dude called Nick did email in and say that he wasn't a flat earther anymore. So, yeah. So far, one man, several $100,000 spent. It's certainly got an air of finality to it, hasn't it? There you go. Now you know, Paula.
Well, I'll tell you what, it shut me up about claiming there was no 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
Yeah, because we were constantly babbling about it every single housekeeping session up until them showing it weren't the case. We just couldn't shut up about it. Me talking about guns all the time. I couldn't help myself. It's all I babbled on about. The guns in Antarctica, every show. 8 years of it. Done nothing
I still think
babble about guns.
I still think they're arming the penguins. I just don't have evidence. That's my personal belief. That the penguins had the guns, and Craig was in some kind of weird conspiracy to cover that up.
Well, before
No, they're giving them laser beams, man.
No, before they went down there, right? I was barking on about there being guns in Antarctica. No one was listening. But now they've gone down there to shut me down, and show that there aren't any guns. Isn't that very suspicious to anybody? They're hiding the guns. They're part of the hiding of the guns that I've been talking about non-stop for 8 years.
Nathan, you said 9.4 years ago that there were guns in Antarctica. Now own up to it.
I haven't shut up about it since. It's all I've talked about, Neil. Anyway, yeah, we didn't shut our channel, shut your. So, yeah, it wasn't final really at all. Yeah, and all the measurements they made were of a flat Earth.
I have a video of my daughter saying that rainbows are made out of Skittles. Now, when she gets older and her understanding grows, can I hold her to the statement that rainbows are made out of Skittles?
Well, because it's strictly not true. You can only taste the rainbow.
Right. But does that seem fair to bring that up constantly as the measure of her intelligence or her position now?
In a way, while we lay jovial deceit against those who would claim that we have, according to them, been talking about guns in Antarctica for 8 straight years, no, that's not the case, but I wouldn't decry them the opportunity to hold me to task on anything I've said over the time. If someone says 9 years ago, contextually, you said that there was going to be guns in Antarctica if you tried to go down there, I'd be like, yeah, that was the rhetoric of the day. That's the nonsense waffle I got when I sat down at the Feast of Nonsense. There's me regurgitating it. Don't I look stupid? They're like, well, do you still think there's guns down there? And I'd be like, I don't care. Earth's measured flat. I've moved on. I don't care about what goes on in Antarctica at all. Makes no difference to me. But if they were to go down there and do any measurements, they'd be measuring a flat Earth when they did. Lo and behold, they are. Yeah, but 8 years ago, like you just said, you were under the misapprehension that there was guns down there. I'm like, yeah, look, you can show that in a comment on a video 9.5 years ago, I suggested that if you were to try and go down to Antarctica, you'd be stopped. Well, I'm pretty sure that is actually still the case, and it might very well be the case that they'd try and stop you, and they might be armed. But given that people who went down there got all of the necessary tick boxes ticked, all of the necessary equipment fulfilled, filled out all of the necessary forms, got all the right permissions, and spent the several £100,000 required to get down there, they were not stopped by guns. So, egg on my face, that comment from 9.5 years ago was definitely wrong. And I red-faced.
Wait a second. What about retroactive? What does that go? Continuity?
Retroactive continuity. That's something else, though, isn't that? That's not guns. That's the 24-hour sun itself. So what Neil's pointing out is that AI, artificial intelligence, suggested that why would I decry the testimony of a man who spent 18 months in Antarctica and said he did not observe a 24-hour sun, but for retroactive continuity. That is to say, by the standards of the heliocentric model, the patterns that we experience with the sun, moon, stars, whatever, are set in such a way that they wouldn't deviate. There'd be no anomalies like, for instance, 1 year there is a 24-hour sun, the next year there isn't. Or that it creeps up to there being a 24-hour sun over a 5-year cycle, just for the sake of argument. But if you're at the tail end of that 5-year cycle, you're definitely not getting a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And if you're at the other end of the cycle, you do. I don't know. I'm not an Antarctic expert. But the point is that you don't necessarily have to disregard first-hand testimony because something that happens today doesn't match an experience described by somebody 10 years ago. Now, their description of it 10 years ago was of their description of being there 8 years prior to that. So we're talking about some significant time ago. Nevertheless, what we've had in the meantime, in the interim, is lots of fudged footage of Antarctic 24-hour suns. And now we've got a load of gates between us and just looking at the footage and going, isn't that interesting? Earth's measured flat with everything you'll tie to that observation.
Well, I don't want to disparage Robert Shortman, but if the information he gave you was a lie, right? What is the purpose in lying to you? Because I'm guessing he sought you out, did he not?
I met Robert Shortman at a meetup that I'd arranged in Oxford with Antonio Subratz, and he just turned up and got chatting with somebody, and then somebody pulled my attention to one particular dude that was at the meetup who'd been in Antarctica. So he didn't actually approach me. I approached him, but he had come to the meetup, so he was there chatting amongst friends of Flat Earth UK, as the show was that I was promoting at the time. So he proactively came to a meet that I'd arranged with somebody else, Antonio Subratz. There you go. I don't, like you say, I don't necessarily assume he was lying.
No, I don't either. That's why I said it. If it's not true, what he said, and there was a 24-hour sun at the time he went, that would mean he had to be lying. But the only purpose I can see in doing that is this false dichotomy argument.
Which is a possibility also. It may be the case that he was literally here to put false rhetoric into the arena of flat Earth, assuming that he knew that I'd still be here 10 years later, still making videos. I mean, it's a bit of a gamble.
No, not you. Just have that out there, and for the purposes of like anyone can find it 10 years later. You don't necessarily have to be here.
Fair enough. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the video stayed up, obviously, the whole time. The video's not going to go anywhere, even if I stop making material. His interview's still one of my, if not my most popular video on the channel. So, yeah, maybe you're right. It could literally have come along just to peddle that narrative to make everybody look stupid should it be needed to be done 10 years later. If people are still hanging around looking at this flat Earth thing 10 years from now, might be the case we have to put the kibosh on it by showing them the 24-hour sun that's always there anyway, and have somebody go into the arena early on to tell them there definitely isn't one, so that they all get behind that nonsense and we can show them to be wrong, or show the azimuthal equidistant projection to be wrong, which they'll have all married themselves to by that point. Maybe the powers that should not be and hidden hands that people pretend there is have put those pieces in place long in advance of the Duffy trip. Just seems a bit far-fetched, though. Go ahead.
Yes, you're seeing my problem with it and why I didn't want to cast moral aspersions based on that. That's I probably shouldn't have said anything.
Well, no, it's worth speculating. I don't mind. I mean, it's prevalent subject matter when there's contrasting views about something that should or shouldn't occur. Now, as we've always maintained, it's kind of inconsequential to us. I mean, now it's been made consequential to me in terms of a question of my credibility after repeating my guest's sentiments of his first-hand experience with the Antarctic sun. But beyond that, it's kind of inconsequential. Right, did you want to cover this video, Neil? Neil's picked out a video that's bugged him because it's about Coriolis effect. Not necessarily a particularly big videographer, and it was made a year ago, so if you really want to cover this, Holt Hanley, we will. Do you, Neil?
Yes, I would like to cover it. I would also like to get the definition changed somehow, so when people look it up, they find what Coriolis really is and not this.
Okay, right, let's get into it then. Go on, John.
If we're watching a Coriolis video, I would just like to warn everybody, this is your trigger warning. Get your puke buckets ready. We're in for some nonsense.
In the southern hemisphere spin a different direction than toilets in the northern hemisphere. Well, this is actually a myth, and it's not true, but it's based on something that is real, which is the Coriolis effect. And the Coriolis effect is the reason, for example, hurricanes spin different directions in the northern and southern hemisphere.
No, it isn't.
It just doesn't have an effect on things as small as your toilet.
It doesn't have an effect on anything. It's an illusion.
But it can impact various areas of your life.
It doesn't impact anything. It's an illusion.
For example, if you've ever been in a plane, your plane actually has to take into account the Coriolis effect.
So
That's great.
If the strike three. If the plane was taking into effect, it'd actually be the causes of the Coriolis effect that would have any influence that you could take note of on a heliocentric globe Earth that's turning. Then the cause of Coriolis deflection in that rhetoric is Earth turning underneath the plane, in which case a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would only take an hour and a half, because the cause of Coriolis effect in globe Earth rhetoric is Earth turning underneath the plane. So no, given that it's a 4.5 hour flight time in both directions pretty much, it's not rotating underneath a flight to reduce its flight time from 4.5 to 1.5 hours in the case of Charlotte, North Carolina to LA. Earth's not turning underneath anything. Earth's not turning.
Because
Excuse me.
it will change.
Yeah, go ahead.
Any evidence of a Coriolis-related instrument in any aircraft ever made, ever?
No.
They have a device called a Coriolis meter, but it's mislabeled because it's testing for actual deflections within moving containment systems. So it's mislabeled. That's all I got.
Copy that.
It has to change its course because of the rotation of the Earth. Now that might have been a little bit wordy, so let's just go
A little bit wordy. They're just a little bit wrong. Yeah, we can actually keep up with your nonsense waffle and unpack it. Wordy isn't a problem for us.
into a drawing here to try to understand the Coriolis effect.
Right, well, I don't need to because you've already got it wrong verbally, so I'll just accurately describe Coriolis without this garbage on screen. So the Coriolis effect is a not actual deflection observed as you rotate on a non-inertial turning reference frame, observing a projectile object travelling straight in the inertial frame of reference. So what's the effect actually entail? It entails you, for example, sitting on a merry-go-round, going round and round and round, as somebody else tosses a ball over the top of the merry-go-round. So imagine 3 participants, you being the one on the roundabout or merry-go-round spinning around, the 2 others throwing a ball back and forth over the top of the merry-go-round that's spinning. Now they're throwing the ball to each other, back and forth, in a straight line. On the merry-go-round, that's the non-inertial turning reference frame, you observe the ball seem to take a curved path. That is because you are rotating underneath the straight path the ball actually takes. So to summarise, Coriolis deflection is the not actual curved trajectory of the ball perceived by you, the observer, on a turning reference frame. That's Coriolis effect. The perceived but not actual curved path.
On the left, pretend that is a merry-go-round that isn't rotating, and on the right, it's a merry-go-round that is rotating. I know my drawings aren't the best, but they'll suffice for this picture. So let's go to this one on the left first, and let's give this guy...
Yeah, he's already got his example incorrect. Go ahead.
Will you be standing on the outside of this merry-go-round with horizontally on the outside edge, like you're rolling a quarter in his example, or will you be standing on the plane of reference?
It depends what you're describing. So because he hasn't got to his description fully yet, it's hard to know where he's going to go with this. I'm assuming he's going to have somebody on the rotating, but he's got the... I don't know where he's going to go. We just have to listen to his nonsense waffle, John.
I'm just saying that he can't. People don't stand horizontally on the sides of merry-go-round.
Right.
They stand. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I know what you mean.
It's not going to be applicable to what he claims the Earth is doing anyway.
Ball, and he's going to roll the ball to the other guy. That ball is just going to roll in a straight line. And then that is the actual path that it's taking. Now, the perceived path is going to be the exact same. Now, let's come over to where the merry-go-round is rotating. And we're going to rotate it counterclockwise because it's almost like you were up in space looking down on the northern hemisphere. And let's say he lets go of the ball when he's over here.
How did you get that frame of reference?
That ball is going to go in.
You don't. The reference frame that he described to be comparable when he's not onto the outside edge of his quarter roll, as you put it, you're never going to be in the inertial frame of reference. You can't get that view.
No straight line, and it's going to appear to land towards the right of the person that he was trying to throw it to. And let's label this
also there's another problem.
Actual.
There's another problem as well, because the frame of reference he would be claiming to view this effect from, if it existed, we would not have gas to breathe.
Yeah, to compare it to the outer space sky vacuum inertial reference frame that he would compare it to, then we'd all be dead. Gas would fill that space.
Now, how they're going to perceive this is going to be different than the actual path the ball is taking. This guy's going to think he threw it, and they're going to think it curved off to the right. So that...
Yeah, that bit's accurate. So when this platform's not spinning, man throws ball straight, ball moves and is perceived to go straight. When you are on a non-inertial turning reference frame, that is to say a rotating roundabout, you throw the ball, if you sat on it whilst rotating, and it looks like it flies off in a curve because you are turning underneath. So it's not bad in terms of the last 10 seconds of description.
That is perceived. Let's just say.
Yes, so it's an illusion. Right, so it's perceived to curve but isn't really curving. You opened up this by telling us it's the cause of hurricanes moving in different directions in different hemispheres, though, didn't you? So if it's an illusion by your own explanation, how the hell can it affect anything? It's an illusion, you crackpot!
So that's their perceived path of the ball.
So do we have perceived curved hurricanes? Is it just my perception, or are they actually freaking curving? Going round and round in circles? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an actual trajectory of hurricanes now, isn't it? What about your water going down the plug hole? Is that a perceived curved trajectory? Like a not actual seeming to go round and round the toilet, but actually going down in a straight line? No, again, you're a crackpot, aren't you? Because what you've just accurately described is the not actual deflection in Coriolis deviation. It's not really happening then. So you're not going to ascribe this to any physical effect ever, because there isn't one. There's just a ball moving straight and you turning underneath it, and what your eyeballs think you see because you're turning underneath. It's not an actual force. It's not an actual effect. Nothing's really happening because this perceived curve isn't real. You throw the ball and it just goes straight. But after you let go of it, you carry on moving on a non-inertial turning reference frame. That's all that's happening here. So nothing's going to be ascribable to a globe Earth.
So the point I'm trying to make here is the ball actually is going in a straight line, but it just looks like it's curving because...
Like a hurricane? Because hurricanes just kind of look like they're curving, do they, you crackhead? Yeah? That's how you open this up. Do you realise how stupid you sound now I'm pointing it out to you? Yeah, we do actually have actual curved paths in weather patterns, though, don't we? It's not a not actual curving hurricane, you clown.
Because the people and the plane that they're on is rotating and moving.
On the what that they're on? The plane? Yeah, you'll need a plane to describe this effect.
So to relate this to an airplane actually is going in a straight line, or would be going in a straight line, but because the Earth is rotating beneath...
Right, would be...
Straight lines on
sorry,
the globe.
is going in a straight line, would be going in a straight line. Those are two different things, aren't they? In his little sentence fragment, he said, the plane is going in a straight line, or would be for the fact that Earth's turning underneath. So based on his rhetoric that he's just laid out, according to him, a man on the ground watching an aeroplane sees the plane seem to curve because Earth's turning underneath the aeroplane. Now that would shorten the flight times, wouldn't it, son? Yeah?
It actually has to change its course to land in the correct destination.
Really? Now that would shorten flight times. Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would only take an hour and a half. You complete clown. Let this clown know he hasn't got a clue what he's babbling about. He's put out a video so he can sound smart when he's actually stupid. Holt Hansley, you utter clown. If it's a not actual deflection that you're observing when the plane travels straight, then it's actually travelling straight. There's no deviation to correct for. It's an illusion of deflection. But if that illusion is actually occurring, it means that the man on the ground is observing the plane seem to curve because Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes and hot air balloons and drones and you if you jump up and down. That's definitely not happening. Please let Holt know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that just alludes to the fact that we've pointed out his error, gross error, based on his complete misapprehension of a translation from a not actual deflection in the inertial reference frame observed from the non-inertial frame to a globe Earth turning underneath friggin' aeroplanes and drones and hot air balloons. Something that absolutely, without question, does not happen. Earth does not exhibit Coriolis deflection. If it did, we'd definitely know about it.
So to understand that, we can actually just look at our Earth right here, and we'll come in and we'll draw some airplanes in here. So let's draw an airplane right here.
Is he getting ready to show an airplane flying backwards on takeoff?
Well, don't jump the gun, maybe.
Right here, and let's draw an airplane right here. Now their destination they're trying to get to is on these various lines. That's 0 latitude, 30 latitude, and 60 latitude.
Those are all flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris.
And the point that I'm trying to make here is
Earth's measured flat with those measurements. Why have you drawn them on a globe?
the deviation or the difference because of the Coriolis effect in actual path and perceived path is going to be larger the higher up you go.
I see. So you're saying the higher up you go, the more Earth turns underneath the plane? Yeah, that would mean Earth's turning underneath aeroplanes, though, wouldn't it? Yeah, we'd definitely notice. They'd have some scheduling issues that we definitely don't experience. Yeah, you could travel up in the air in a hot air balloon and just wait for the next continent along to come to you.
So, for example, on the equator...
What's the equator? Like minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris? Yeah, you'll need a flat Earth for that.
That airplane just takes a straight path. There is no Coriolis effect.
What? Earth as a sphere is claimed to have Coriolis effect, though. What are you talking about? It's not selective.
So did the Earth just stop rotating for a hot second, or what?
Yeah, for a bit.
Now
For
all
this,
of a sudden there is no Coriolis. That's
for this part of the example, Earth's not turning. Planes above it, no Coriolis effect. It's just decided.
Now here, there's going to be a small deviation.
What, as Earth turns underneath the aeroplane, shortening its flight time?
Let's label that right there. And then as you get higher up, that deviation is going to be much larger. So the basic takeaway...
Yeah, based on your diagram, the plane would never get to its destination on the equator because Earth's spinning faster than the plane can go. Yeah, it'd be going backwards.
There is, as you get to higher latitudes, the Coriolis effect is stronger.
Stronger? Sir, your illusion of curved trajectories when observing planes from the ground as you turn underneath them is stronger. It's an illusion! Hello?
And that has to do with a lot of different aspects of physics that we're not...
Different aspects of physics? You think this is physics, do you? No. Dealing with the physical and natural phenomena we deal with when dealing with natural science, that's physics, isn't Coriolis deflection. An illusion described with two different reference frames, one inertial and one spinning non-inertial. That's not physics. Physics establishes cause and effect for naturally occurring phenomena. That's physics.
I'm not going to exactly dive into. You just have to take my word for it.
No, we don't have to take Jack, mate. We can just point out how stupid you are, and that can send my audience to you to tell you how stupid you are. Because you're telling me that an illusion's going to cause things. You're suggesting how strong an illusion is. You complete clown. No, I don't take your word for it when you tell me about the strength of an illusion. I just call you a numpty.
At the equator, Coriolis effect is 0.
So what's the equator? After the fact, maybe you'll go and look up what that is. It's a flat Earth measurement.
You go higher to the pole, it is stronger. So now let's...
No, the illusion's not getting stronger. You complete clown. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say, he said pole. Well, from what plane of reference will we describe this pole? But You go ahead, Chocolate. I'm just beating a dead horse now.
I'm just bugging out there. You said at the equator, that's where the Coriolis effect will be zero. The place where supposedly this ball is moving the fastest, the highest tangential speed, but the Coriolis effect zero. But at the poles, it's the highest.
Take his word for it. Trust me, bro.
Trust me, bro. Yes, I forgot. Yes.
Let's just break down what's actually going on with these forces.
Like, there is no force. It's an illusion observed as you turn underneath something travelling in a straight line. Ball travels straight, roundabout turns with you on it, observing the ball that is travelling straight still. So what force? Oh, it looks like it curved. So do you want to give me that in pounds?
So let's turn this on and look at another layer here. Okay.
Definitely not. You haven't got a clue what you're babbling about. You're talking nonsense. It's not okay.
So let's draw in what's going on with the pressure gradient force first. So pressure gradient force is just going to be going from high to low.
Really? Okay, well then your claim to be inertial reference frame is a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. And the high pressure gas that we're all enjoying breathing would have dissipated into that area of volume, so we'd have never have developed gas pressure, nobody would be living.
And also high and low, as he's describing it, requires a horizontal plane of reference to describe whether it's higher or lower from.
Oh dear.
It's going like that, and like that. And this is our pressure gradient force. What that means is basically the air likes to flow from high to low. You can see we're going from 908 millibars to 900 millibars. So you would think that our winds are just going to follow the pressure gradient force. It's going to go from high.
Who gives a crap? Go on, John.
That's not a force. Like Chocolate just pointed out, that's entropy. Only when you try to contain the expansion of gas into a volume by putting it in a container can you describe that as a force, but it is not inherently a force.
To low. So let's pick a different color here. Let's put our green as our winds. But it's actually not going to be flowing straight from the high to the low. It's going to be slightly curved right there. Slightly, let's go slightly more curved right here.
Does this guy just think there's one direction of wind? You do realise there are multiple surface directions of wind, right?
And then eventually completely curved right there. So why does this happen? And I should label this.
It doesn't. The wind's going in all different directions at all different altitudes. Altitudes are all described with respect to a horizontal plane. So what you're babbling about is nonsensical.
This is the okie doke part, where he tries to convince us that this illusion he was telling us about earlier is now able to cause hurricanes and stuff.
Actual wind? This happens because of the Coriolis force. So let's take...
No, nothing happens as a result of Coriolis effect. Number one, it's an effect. Number two, it's an illusion. Number three, it's not a force. So no, absolutely not. You are wrong.
This bottom one.
Go ahead.
No, I said I called it.
Yeah, he did. 10 points.
The one closest to the 908 millibars. And let's imagine our wind was going straight high to low. The Coriolis force is going to come in there and it's going to turn it.
No, it isn't. Sorry, illusions don't turn things, son. Are you a clown?
Slightly
Also,
to the right.
The millibars is a description of gas pressure on the walls of its container. Does he have a container for that gas in his description?
No, it's just got an empty void of space, 10 to the minus 17 torr, that this wouldn't be a tiny gradual millibar rating. all of the gas would immediately dissipate into the sky vacuum he thinks astronauts are floating around in, because he's in the heliocentric paradigm of spinning balls in sky vacuums. So, no, definitely not.
Right. So it turns it that way. Then, as it keeps going, it turns it a little bit more. Then as it keeps going, it turns it until it's actually just flowing parallel to our isobars. So you might need a second to look at this drawing to actually
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Parallel to isobars, sir. You think your curve, shouldn't it be concentric rings, not parallel?
Yeah, it should be concentric in a heliocentric worldview. They can't have parallel. Such an axiom doesn't exist on a ball tard. And third, he's got wind moving with respect to conceptual lines.
figure out what's going on here. And then you can start to see how this can form the circulation around a low pressure system.
Nope, you're ascribing it to Coriolis, you complete numpty. A non-force, an illusion of deflection in a path of a straight moving object, observed as you turn beneath it. Furthermore, your assertion, if it's to be ascribed to a turning Earth, has a turning Earth beneath aeroplanes and hot air balloons and you if you jump up and down. It's stupid.
And this is what you would call a geostrophic wind. It's not exactly this perfect in the atmosphere because there's lots of different...
Atmo what now? Begging the question much? Now, you don't have atmosphere. That's an oxymoron. Sphere-shaped air? Atmo means air. Sphere is a shape. Gases, on the other hand, that form the wind, they're going to take the shape of their containment in every single example. So no, you don't have oxymoronic atmosphere, sphere-shaped air.
Different things going on, but it's a pretty good approximation, so we can pretty much run with it. So to understand what's going on here...
That's what they've been doing for the last 200 years at least, right? Just stealing our concepts and measurements and running with them.
Yeah, can you stop doing that? If you're watching this and you're a globetard, please can you stop utilising our axioms and measurements? That's flat Earth axioms and flat Earth measurements to assert you're on a frigging ball in a sky vacuum. It's really getting irritating. Stop using our stuff.
Let's turn that off. Let's make a new group. And let's try to figure out what would be happening around a low pressure system. So the pressure gradient force, we're looking at the left here.
So which force are we talking about now? I thought this was about Coriolis effect. It's in the title of your video. Now, you're either ignorant. Yes, you're definitely ignorant. Or a liar. Because, no, this isn't Coriolis effect. Absolutely without question. Shout out to Tuberticus. When am I going to see a plane fly backwards? He says from the super chat for $100. Really appreciate these big super chats. Thank you very much indeed for your support. You don't. But in their rhetoric, there is a point where the globe Earth turning overcomes the speed of aircraft. And therefore, when they take off from the ground, their rhetoric would lead them to assert that the plane flies backwards. Huey's had a couple of people over a barrel on that and had them say it. It's really funny when they do. When they follow their own rhetoric to its logical conclusion and have to say the plane's flying backwards. From the inertial reference frame, if you were to observe it, they would assert the plane's flying backwards.
That's going to be directly in. And then taking what we learned in our last drawing, our actual wind is going to be parallel.
Stop using our terms. You don't have parallel on a ball tard, right? Parallel is going to require a plane of reference to be parallel with it. Like everything being parallel with the horizon. You don't have that. That's not yours. That's ours. Stop using it.
To the isobars, the lines of constant pressure.
These imaginary conceptual lines of pressure.
And then our Coriolis force is always to the...
It is never existent, imaginary, not actual, illusionary.
right of the wind.
Yeah,
Oh, it's moving things to the right, is it? No, you're wrong. Idiot.
Isobars are described from the horizontal.
Yes.
So he's done.
Northern hemisphere.
Hemi, what now? No. The only hemispherical description is in a conceptual model, and it's of the stars. After that model's created with measurements of a flat plane, you can create a ball with PZX triangles, have a sign conversion, project the points that are on a celestial sphere back onto a radius 3959 ball. This ball, to have you asserting that it's hemispherical in nature when describing the ground that it's plotted with respect to, is nonsense.
So what's going to be happening here? Our wind is going to be going counterclockwise.
Really? No. You open this by describing the Coriolis effect with the ball travelling straight and you on a roundabout seeing it seem to curve. So by your own standards and explanation of the Coriolis effect, if you're going to ascribe it to this, then according to you, the wind travels straight and only appears to curve as you turn beneath it. That's your description. You gave it. I gave you props for it. But now what? We've got an actual force acting on the winds, have we? No, we haven't. You're an idiot.
And this is a low pressure system. So right there, you can see why in the northern hemisphere, you have...
Tell me what now? No. You're reifying concepts that have been taken from basis of flat earth measurement. Shout out to Just Jack. Coriolis made toilet spin, now the cause of longitude pressures and winds. Lol. Right on.
Counterclockwise flow around a low pressure system. It's...
What? Even in his nonsensory wittery about this stuff. Counterclockwise, clockwise. Oh my god.
The combination of the pressure gradient force, I should probably label this, it's a combination of the pressure gradient force and...
You can't have a pressure gradient without pressure first, so you're definitely going to have to use a container for that.
Or we could at least ask, for those of you going to this top guy who's hopefully going to prick his ears up and do the same for me if he does do a response video. Obviously, if he was to do a response video, I'd hope he'd put a link to my video. That's the whole point of me putting a link to his and sharing the YouTube algorithmic love when I put his link to my audience. But we'd maybe put it to him as a question, John. Feel free.
Do you have any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Perfect.
Coriolis. So now let's look at the high pressure. So now our high is in the middle.
Me, I'm not as polite as John. Sod that. You're going to need a container for that pressure. It's the force exerted on the walls of the containment. That's what pressure is. Now, there is no demonstrations of gas pressure without containment, and in your rhetoric, you've got a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum above your head to worry about, son. So you're not getting pressure at all.
Right here. So, and our low is on the outside. It's going from 904 millibars to 900 millibars. Pressure gradient force is going to go from high to low, so it's pointing outward. But then our Coriolis force is going to want to turn those winds to the...
Yeah, that's where he just done it. The outward, I bet you he's going away from the center of his sphere, not up anymore, right?
Right.
Right. First, it's going to turn it a little bit. Then it's going to turn it a little bit more. And then it's going to turn it...
I know John's already pointed this out once, but every part of his description for this Coriolis hijacking, because he's no longer talking about a Coriolis effect, it's an illusion. But he's doing it with respect to a flat plane of reference. That's how his description's padding out.
All the way until it's parallel with those isobars.
Yeah, parallel. So this can't be described in terms of his ball description. He's describing it with respect to a plane. That's where John, props to him, he already pointed out when he asked, well, where are you getting your axis from? Pole, you say? Yeah, what? Perpendicular to a plane of reference that's rotating. That's how this is described. Even in their bullshit world of spinning ball Earth, it still needs a plane of reference to describe their spin. All of the effects they describe are always with respect to a plane.
Coriolis force is always directly to the right of our actual wind. And you can see...
illusions aren't to the right of Jackson. Yeah? Look up the word illusion and then think about the sentence you've just spewed to an audience.
that around a high pressure system in the northern hemisphere,
Tell me what now?
you are going to get clockwise flow. So in the low,
Will it be clockwise? What if I turn around? Will it still be clockwise?
it's counter, and around the high, it's clock. And that's talking about the northern hemisphere.
Really? You couldn't have given us an actual directions as opposed to relative directions that are subject to the direction I'm facing? No. It's because you don't know what you're babbling about.
In the opposite hemisphere, that's like if we took our merry-go-round example, and now you're in space looking up at the southern hemisphere, it looks like it's spinning clockwise. So when the one person throws the ball to the other person, it's actually going to look like the ball is curving to the left. Now let's take another...
Sorry, look like? No, your description is of an actual deflection. So when you contrast that with a not actual deflection, it just makes you sound like a village idiot that doesn't know what he's talking about. You're conflating not actual deflection, that's illusionary deflection, Coriolis deflection, with actual spin directions.
Another example here. And talk about wind speed. So,
Why?
taking our forces that we were talking
There
about.
aren't any. What are you talking about?
Pardon me, but since speed relies on distance in either miles or kilometers, and that's a straight line distance, conceptually, why is he using... You can't have speed either, buddy.
Yeah, stop using speed. Miles per hour? No. You're going to need a flat earth for the miles. These are all flat. None of these are curved. They're all linear in nature. So you're going to need a flat earth to describe these conceptual miles or speeds.
Let's say, flowing from high to low again.
Paused in advance of you interrupting, but you didn't say anything. We'll carry on.
Here's our actual. Actually, I want to make that smaller at first. And let's actually start this one over. Because the point I'm making, it's important what size the arrows are. So there's our pressure gradient force. Here's our actual wind. And here's our Coriolis force. Except what we're thinking is, this is water in a river. Now everybody knows that in a river, when it's very wide like that, it's going to be very slow moving water. But then as the river tightens up, that water is going to start moving a lot faster. So what's going to happen is that force is going to increase.
Now he's completing a completely new force. Don't know, if you ask me, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, says Tuberticus. Oh, really? Tuberticus. You say he knows what he's talking about, do you? I'm thinking no.
This force is going to increase, and then your actual water speed is going to increase as well.
Who gives a toss? This is meaningless.
So, just kind of drawing the forces in there to illustrate
how nonsensical it is when talking about a illusionary deflection in the frame of reference that you observe when turning beneath something in an inertial reference frame, aka Coriolis effect as labelled in your video. Yeah, this is nonsense, Waffleson.
What we're talking about, but just think water goes faster as you funnel it.
Okie dokie. What the hell does that have to do with non-inertial and inertial reference frames producing illusionary deflections? Oh, absolutely nothing, you total clown.
So now we can just picture the exact same thing.
No, we can just picture you in a giant pair of shoes with a big red nose.
Over here. At first, pressure gradient force is
You don't have that, son. You've got a sky vacuum belief.
somewhat weak. We're going from 944 to 940 over a very long distance. So over each little iteration, it's not all that strong. But as those pressure bars get closer together, that force is going to feel stronger.
Yeah, there is no Coriolis force. It's an illusion.
This is basically what I'm trying to explain here is
basically you're just a clown. You don't know what you're talking about. You've made a video based on your limited Dunning-Kruger knowledge of Coriolis deflections.
Why winds get stronger as
No, it isn't. You're wrong.
isobars get tighter.
No, it isn't. Absolutely not. Nothing to do with Earth's turning, nothing to do with latitudes that are measured on a flat Earth or distances that are linear. Your speeds that require a flat Earth, your heights and your parallels, they're all going to prove a flat Earth, but it's got nothing to do with winds or rivers. You're just talking nonsense.
One of the easiest things that you can see on a weather map, as isobars get closer together, things...
Sorry, what's the Coriolis force on a weather map? What's it rated at? What's the scale for the Coriolis force on a weather chart? Oh, there isn't one? Is it just nonsense that you're spewing into YouTube like Dunning-Kruger styley?
Get windier. Now let's draw in our Coriolis here. Small.
Like on the weather maps, yeah? They really highly detail the Coriolis forces on weather maps, don't they? No, it's not often that any meteorologist is going to be noting the illusionary deflections that we might see if we're turning beneath stuff. They're never going to mention those in weather broadcasts, ever.
Is he implying that entropy is caused by the turn of the Earth?
It seems that way, yes.
Okay, he's stupid.
Here, it's large, and the reason for that actually has to do with the wind speed. So actual, it's small.
So what you're saying is wind. So we have wind. How profound. Why did you label this video about Coriolis effect and start telling us about how not actual deflections of balls would be observed if it's just wind? So we observe wind. Why do they do it? Right? Why? Well, I'll tell you why, because they need to affirm their ball belief. So let's just break this down, right? Coriolis effect is real. You can observe a ball looking like it curves as you turn beneath it on a roundabout. It's easy. Just get a friend to toss a ball over the top of you while you spin around in circles. Get two mates, rather, to throw a ball back and forth over the top of you as you literally spin around on the spot. And if you look up at the ball as it goes over, you go, wow, look, it's curving. Oh, it's not. It's actually me spinning around and around underneath it. That's Coriolis effect. It's real. Now, Earth is claimed to have this effect. That is to say, plane takes off and you watch it curve as you turn beneath it. Of course, that would induce the awful truth that flight times when travelling west would be radically shortened. And they're not. It would also have the awful truth that if a hot air balloon launched from the ground, suddenly the next continent along would come to it as it just hovered there. Because we're claimed to have a Coriolis deflection which would be induced from things being observed to curve as we observe them from a turning Earth. An effect that nobody's ever going to observe because it doesn't happen. It is that simple. Coriolis is real. Earth's claimed to have it, but doesn't. So how do the globe Earth practitioners of nonsense get around this awful fact that we don't have any planes observed to be seeming to curve from a ground that's turning beneath them? Well, they suggest that pendulums deflect as Earth turns beneath them. And gyros deflect as Earth turns beneath them. Yeah, that don't happen either. And if it did, as a consequence of their suggestion that Earth's turning beneath the frigging pendulum or gyro, then Earth would be turning under planes. Same as it is under the gyro. But it isn't. Just so we're clear, Coriolis effect is real. It's the effect of a not actual deflection as you rotate beneath something travelling in a straight path. Earth doesn't exhibit that effect in spite of the claim that it does. Anybody got anything to add? I hate Coriolis. It's my least favourite subject. Puts me in a bad mood. It's tedious. It was the longest chapter to write in the book too. Took forever to go over their Globiolis nonsense. Go ahead.
Blame Neil. He's the one that wanted to watch it.
Well, no, the reason why is because it gets annoying that if you go to look up what it means, this is what you're going to find. And we all know that that's not what Coriolis is. So how do we get the proper definition out there?
You're gonna let that annoy you? That you could look up something and it could be wrong? We could look it up and it'll tell us we live on a ball too, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to say, how do we get the proper definitions out there so people can be educated in the right
It's already
manner?
out there. It's already out there. The problem is it comes with a little cool story along with it that tells you you're on a ball. That's the problem.
Indeed,
I'm
it
talking
is.
about getting Nathan's definition, how Nathan describes it, how Nathan explains it into a wiki or one of these
It's already there.
Google
It's out there.
searches. No, it's not.
Well, I hope you're happy with what I've done, Neil.
So,
Yes, very
Neil, are
happy.
you saying that Nathan has his own definition of Coriolis and that has nothing to do with what Coriolis
Don't have to be Nathan.
described as?
There's one in Wiki. It's just on the right-hand side with a little GIF with two frames of reference circles moving. One showing the ball moving straight, one showing the ball seemed to curve because the roundabout's turning. And it says that Coriolis is the deflection observed from the non-inertial turning reference frame lower part of the picture. And if you look at it from the upper part of the picture, the ball's travelling straight. This is caused by the centrifugal forces in the non-inertial turning reference frame. All words to that effect. That was me paraphrasing what it says on the right-hand side of Wiki if you type in Coriolis force. But on the left-hand side, the main body of text is about 6 paragraphs of complete convoluted bullshit that's incorrect about globe Earth and winds and all that garbage that the guy just went through, convoluting the not actual deflection that is observed if you have true Coriolis deflection, which Earth does not exhibit. In any event, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
I'm not sure, but I heard him say force a few times.
Who, me?
Oh, the guy.
No, the dude.
Oh, the dude.
Hang something.
Do you want the last 10 seconds of his video?
It is
Might as
large.
well. Brian will be happy if
The
he
reason your
complete it.
Coriolis force increases is because Coriolis force is proportional to how fast you're going. So a jet is actually going to feel more Coriolis force than
You're going to feel that illusion. You're going to really feel it.
a slow-moving airplane. So we covered a lot of different ideas here. Hopefully that was helpful. I believe that was the last idea that we needed to cover. Yes, it was. So, basic summary, toilets don't spin opposite directions depending on the hemisphere because
That's not a summary. That's an opener. That's a reiteration of your opener.
Coriolis force only acts on much larger objects that are moving much faster, such as hurricanes or...
No, it doesn't. It's an illusion observed as you turn beneath things. So you opened it by describing it semi-accurately and then end by describing it completely inaccurately. Wow.
airplanes. And in the northern hemisphere, things appear to curve to the right. In the southern...
No, definitely not. Number one, we don't have a hemisphere. Why am I doing this?
I would like
to.
to.
Go ahead.
I'd like to see him detail lift on this sphere, since we're talking about planes. Just go ahead and describe lift for us, buddy, without using a flat Earth.
Southern hemisphere, they appear to curve to the left, and around a low in the northern hemisphere, things spin counterclockwise. Around a high, things turn clockwise. So hopefully this was helpful, and thanks for watching. Have you ever heard that?
He did say ideas.
Ideas affect hurricanes?
Right, I'm going to crop
Well,
out
why
the
wouldn't
thumbnail.
Illusions apparently can affect hurricanes, so why can't ideas?
Who was the one? Was it Kosho that was saying they moving hurricanes moving a straight line?
Yes. Because I asked him why do they appear to be rotating from the inertial reference frame when Coriolis is claimed to be an apparent deviation from the non-inertial reference frame. So he decided to tell me that hurricanes just move straight, which doesn't make any sense because, again, they appear to be rotating from the inertial reference frame. So that was some crap, but hey, what do you want?
What do they call it when your ideas about the world are completely disconnected from reality?
Fantasy.
Delusional? I think it's delusional. And I feel like every time I'm going to talk, I'm getting ready to interrupt somebody that's getting ready to talk. So I'm just letting the silence go out longer.
So refracted.
Yeah, the delusional is when you think about reality and you're completely disconnected from it, right? All of their observations supposedly are happening from a place that does not exist. We're dealing with a delusion that has taken the world.
Yeah, what a time to live in, eh?
It's a bit scary that
Yep.
such a delusion exists, and it's a little bit even scarier that it was detailed in Revelation.
What was detailed in Revelations?
A grand delusion.
No, but that's different. That's talking about in the end times, God will give the non-believers over to a strong delusion because they hated the truth and rather believed a lie. But I agree. I think this is a strong delusion too. The globe Earth. I think it's the main religion is the globe Earth, but I don't think it ties into Revelation.
No, didn't necessarily say that. I'm just saying that that such a delusion can exist.
But if you think about it, I mean, how many? What do you think? It's got to be over 90% of the world still think we're on a spinning water ball. So they have been given over to a strong delusion.
Yeah, and I don't mean to make it biblical. That's not what I meant. But when you read it, you're like, oh, how can everyone succumb to the same delusion? But I mean, we're seeing it right now with this, so it's entirely possible.
It's the education system, right? They teach you 2 + 2 is 4, but also that you live on a spinning water ball.
Um, yeah, yeah. They also teach you it's a plane of reference, but it's not a plane.
I just wish that somebody could get to Nick and talk some sense into Nick.
Well, Nick,
I kind of miss. Sorry, John. I was just gonna say I kind of miss when the Globers were trying to argue Coriolis. They would have to put us in reference frames of spinning hot tubs with missiles while shooting. I mean,
Yeah,
the
remember
oh,
that.
Miley Cyrus.
shout out to Zanuck for that.
I'm freaking Miley Cyrus, bro.
On a pendulum.
Well, thanks to Zanuck, Nathan got what he needed.
What, a spinning hot tub with missiles?
No,
The sad thing.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the sad thing about all that is even if Nathan conceded every point to Zanuck, like it's still got to be a plane of reference to describe this rotation from. So, yay!
Remember they kept trying to put us on the projectile, whatever it was, whether it was a plane or a missile or any object, a ball.
Well, that's always the trick, isn't it? To change your frame of reference from the non-inertial to the inertial, so they can describe the effect they need.
Put you on the thing that's already moving. Therefore, they can already argue that you're moving.
Yep.
Basically, yeah. Well, they want to argue it too with like in a false dichotomy of is the Earth turning with the air or atmosphere, as they say, but is it turning together, or is it rotating underneath like the Coriolis claim would dictate?
According to Neil
Whatever you
deGrasse,
need.
Earth and atmosphere move as one.
So no Coriolis to observe then. I could be wrong. I mean, is there Coriolis in one reference frame?
Well, no, that's the problem, right? Because he's saying Earth and atmosphere move as one, then there's no Coriolis then.
Hey, Flatsy.
Hello, everybody.
Are you about in about 4 hours' time?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Are you about in about 4 hours just to do book stuff? About 7:30 UK time is when Adam's about.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Are y'all ready for Flatsy yet, though?
No,
I mean, not to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
she
we
won't
are,
have
yeah.
good input.
not according to Adam and QE, but
Not to
you know.
say that. Hold on a sec. Not to say that Kim doesn't have good input. I'm not saying that. I'm just what she said that she was going to do. That's going to take more time than just like a month. There's going to be way more than a month for what y'all have written. It sounds depressing, I know. I'm sorry, Nathan.
There used to be a time when the Uncut and After show, as soon as it ended, there would be battles going on. Where'd
Hey,
they all go?
I was just saying to Flatsy, are you around in about 4 hours' time, Adam?
Yeah, because I'm free now, innit? I'm just clearing up at work at the moment, so yeah.
And everyone's like, "You're not ready for Flatsy."
Well, they are correct.
Shut up, Adam.
But
We had this discussion. I said Nathan is excited and he wants his book out there, and I don't blame him. But
with any good business, you need somebody to drive, someone to motivate, someone to keep you on track. Yeah, somebody to set you on reasonable targets that apply a little bit of pressure so you work at your best.
Yes. So, work faster, please.
Faster, harder, stronger, leaner.
I'm sure it'll be done when it's done. Whatever.
It's getting there. It's getting better and better and better.
Betterer.
Better.
Did you
It's
see the
better
video I
this
sent?
week than it was last.
Did you see the video in Master B, the wankers?
No.
You gotta check that out.
I'll get home and watch it.
We've been wankers for 3 years now.
Oh.
oh, really?
Did you not see that? I'd play it, but it'll be copyright material, so I don't want to play it. Just check it out. I'll see if I can find it somewhere. I'm sure it's in Master B.
I saw the one above it with the microphone. So there's two of them now, you're saying?
No, there was something else. Oh, let me just finish my thumbnail. Yeah, I'm not going to be digging it out, so I didn't expect that to completely kill the conversation, but such is
Oh,
life
we're waiting
sometimes.
for you.
No, I said I'm not going to play it because it's copywritten.
Has the fisherman in the box got in contact with you with the book? 'Cause I
No.
think he's keen on pushing it as well.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, I should really tell people my email address, shouldn't I? I'll do that. There's no rush as it's not imminent.
He's really pushing that Godfather theme. He's got the 5 families and now another one. I think he's got Jiren as Barzini and Witsit as Tatalia. So as they drop, he's noting it.
Natalia is the one that betrays him, right?
Well, it
No,
was both of them. He
No,
comes
but
to an
Italia.
understanding that it's Barzini.
Barzini's the one that pretends to be part of the other family and then gets murdered for it, right?
No, Barzini's the one at the meeting who sits at the head of the table. And after the meeting, he tells Tom Hagen that he didn't know all along that it was Barzini up until that day. Because they thought they were at war with Tatalia, but it was Barzini all along. But it's funny how the fisherman's got it down. Of course, we're the Corleone, so you can't dislike that.
I see.
It was Luca, by the way.
No, Luca was killed by Tatalia. And that other guy that started the war, the Turk. The Luxor.
Yeah, it was Luca that pretended to be going against the family.
Yes, you're right.
Right, he went to meet with them and tell them that he wasn't happy. That was a terrible plan, though. It's true. The Don was slipping at that time. Because everyone knew that Luca would die for Don Corleone.
Right, as we've started talking about Godfather, I'm going to round out. So I will see you guys in about 4 hours. But with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible, short though it was. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.